do you want to kick off with something in Spanish, or do you want me to say something?
Por supuesto. Hola, bienvenidos. Me llamo Tiffany Best. I'm used to saying Señorita Best. I was about to say that. Me llamo Tiffany Best. And I'm really excited about seeing La Llorona.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
This is going to be great. So we're on our way right now to the theater. And so really quick, just wanted to start off with reflections on the last movie, which was Pet Sematary. So I'm going to set a 1-minute timer. So I have 60 seconds. And then whenever the timer ends, hopefully a police siren's going to go off. We'll see. I don't know if I said that or not. So 3, 2, 1, go. Pet Sematary was pretty much a standard horror movie as far as morals and message goes. So it's the goal of the movie is to scare you, and there's not a ton else to it except for the theme of life after death, which was very well executed by the hero turned villain, the daughter, who got killed and taken to the pet cemetery and raised back to life. So she started the question to the conversation and became the answer to the conversation of is there life after death, which was awesome. Beyond that, there was not much. The mom was pretty underexplored, although she was the best actress in the movie, so that kind of sucked. But pretty much every character was on a level playing field on terms of scripting and all that. And it was very scary, and I slept fine the next night. So my hope and dream for that movie was I want to be able to sleep tonight. Right. And I did sleep that night, so we were good. So and I have 10 seconds to spare, so we're good to talk about La Llorona.
That's awesome. I do remember seeing Pet Sematary when I was younger, and I thought about seeing it again. I was like, I'll pass.
Yeah, maybe not.
I'll pass. Oh, yeah. So, La Llorona, that is actually one of the things that I teach in my classroom during Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. And a lot of people are familiar with Day of the Dead because of the movies Coco and things like that.
Coco was great.
It was excellent. And they actually sing La Llorona in part of it. It's towards the end of the movie. Yeah. Spoiler alert, but they sing it at the end of the movie, and it is one of those stories that, of course, being a teacher in the classroom, I have to preface it about, we're talking about dying and talking about a lady that does something to her children, but the story that I teach them is more so a kinder side, more of we feel bad for La Llorona, and everything that she went through. Gotcha. And during the time that she committed these crimes, it was out of heartbreak and hurt, and so that's the spin that I put on it. I don't care how you look at it, she still killed her children. Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the story. She killed her children. And so when I talk to my kids about it, I let them know it's a legend. Some say it's real, but there's no proof for sure. So it's a legend, and one of the reasons they do it is to keep their kids from wandering out late at night and say, La Llorona's going to get you if you're not home by a certain time. Oh, yeah. And definitely when you're around lakes and rivers and the water. Any type of water, yeah. For sure. And if you watch the trailer to the movie, that's in a lot of the shots. I think the scariest scene in the trailer is when the little girl, there's a little girl outside, and she has a clear umbrella, and she raises it up overhead, and when she opens it, you can see only through the clear umbrella where she's standing. Yeah. And you're like, oh shoot. And then the wind blows and puts the umbrella in the pool, and she walks over to pick it up, and then she gets thrown in the pool by something. Right. Yeah. And so I think for a lot of Latinos, when they are around the water and they're afraid, if their children don't know how to swim and all this other stuff, that's one of the things they're put in their head, don't, La Llorona's going to get you. Gotcha. But like I said, in my classroom, I try to make it more of a sympathetic type thing, she went through a lot, she was really in love with this guy, and no. And then you got to think about there's different versions of La Llorona. So the one I looked up said that she was Hernan Cortez's mistress, or Hernan, not Hernan. Trying to pronounce correctly. The Spanish teacher pressure. That she had his kids, and so famous conquistador, all that sort of thing. So supposedly she was the mistress, and she had children by him, and of course he left her for a Spanish lady and got upset. The story that I teach them is more based on the Mexican legend, which is she's from a poor village. Gotcha. And she, a wealthy man comes to town. She's supposed to be this gorgeous lady, just beautiful, stunning, stop you in your tracks. Gotcha. And she falls in love with this man. He falls in love with her. He's from a wealthy family. His dad was like, nope, not gonna have it. Don't want you to do this. And basically, he starts traveling, and he only speaks to his kids, and he's only all about his kids and kind of ignores her, and eventually falls in love with another woman and leaves her and his children for this other lady.
Gotcha.
And through that, her fit of rage is when she took her kids to the river and drowned them.
Mm-hmm.
And so the legend goes, when she reached heaven,
mm-hmm.
at the gates, they wanted her to account for her children, and she couldn't. Because by the time she realized what she did when she drowned them, they had already been taken upriver in the stream.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that's
dark.
the whole search.
Gotcha.
So she is stuck between the...
She's in purgatory.
She's in purgatory, yeah.
Wow.
So she's just stuck there, and she cannot get into heaven or anywhere until she finds her children.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing is, if you hear the weeping woman, or if you hear someone like the sound of the weeping woman, then you need to run the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for children, because she's looking for her children. If she gets the children and realizes those are her kids, then she kidnaps them and she kills them.
Oh,
I know.
So this
such
is gonna
a
be
bad story to tell kids, but that's what happens.
I mean, it'll keep them straight, right?
I
stay
guess.
in line. So that's what's scaring me a lot about this movie is they're not painting her as that from the trailer. So I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I didn't see the trailer because I just want everything to be like definitely like new to my mind of what I'm looking at, so I can have a good comparison of the actual legend versus what the movie is going to portray.
The scene in the trailer that bothered me so greatly was there's a scene where she asks a priest to come to her house to like help protect or something, and he's pouring like sand around the house and drawing like chalk crosses everywhere,
right?
And you just see like a footprint in the sand and then like a handprint on the cross, and it's like whatever this is doesn't care that you're a Christian. It doesn't like, so it's making this thing not something that is like, it's making it more of a demon that is just very, very, very powerful. Right. And that's
you got to think about it. She is stuck. If you're listening to if you think about the legend, she's stuck and she can't get into heaven until she finds her children.
Absolutely.
And so she is doing everything possible, which would make sense on why she's just like, you know what? I don't care what you say.
That's a mother's motivation. I think that's, and so that was one of the questions that I had for you is, what do you think the moral to this movie can be? Because a lot of horror movies, they tend to fall flat in that area where they have no message. The goal was just scare you. Right. And I mean, that's great for the people who that's all they want out of a movie, but you know, what do you think they can add to this?
I'm hoping, like I said, if it's based off the legend, I'm hoping that they will show that side, like you said, the mother's like her urgency to find her kids and realize that she has made this grave mistake, and that she at the point that she was so much in love that she lost herself to another person. Wow. But then she realizes that there's nothing greater than the love that she has for her kids. That would be beautiful.
That would be wonderful.
That would be beautiful.
I somehow feel like that might be too cheery.
Yeah. I don't think that's gonna work
for this movie. And like, as far as mechanics go, this was directed by Michael Chavez, and he directed some very scary movies. Well, actually, not too many scary movies in terms of length. So, are you familiar with Billie Eilish?
No.
Okay, she is a popular singer in this day and age. Thank you, people. My sister is obsessed with her, and she has this song called "Bury a Friend," and it's all about suicide. And like it's set in a haunted hotel, and she's basically a demon, like terrorizing these people. And this was directed by the guy who's going to direct this movie. So,
fun fact.
Yes.
I've stayed in 2 haunted places before.
Really?
Yes. I stayed in a haunted hotel in Charleston.
Whoa.
And then, actually, was it Charleston or Savannah? One of the places.
Gotcha.
And then I stayed in one in Chicago.
Wow. Did you have any experiences that...
So, the one in Savannah, I think that we had an encounter, but I'm not sure.
I gotcha.
It could have been them playing with the lights in the morning.
Okay.
But it was one of those moments.
Gotcha. See, for me, the closest thing to a haunted encounter I've ever had is after we saw Pet Sematary. I was standing outside in the carport. I think I was on the phone with somebody, and my dad flickered the lights, and I about lost my mind. I was so incredibly angry.
That's funny.
Other than that, I have no personal haunted experience. My grandfather, on the other hand, was a pastor, and he cast a few demons out in his time. So, like, this is close to home.
I do
demons
believe
are real.
it's very real. Like, it's absolutely real. So I understand how people who because I'm not a big movie, like scary movie person, but once again, I wanted to see what the story is going to be with La Llorona. But as far as when it comes to demons and spirits, it's very real, and I can understand why people wouldn't want to see this type of movie versus the other gory, scary movies.
Exactly. It's like if it's a monster, I'm okay with that because I can quantify in my head this is not real. This can't hurt me. Whereas this, it's like there's a non-0% chance I could wake up and this be in my room tonight, and like I just have to deal with that. So, you know.
You're gonna be okay.
I know, I'll be fine. It's gonna be okay.
You're gonna be okay.
It's gonna be okay.
I promise.
And so the actress who's playing La Llorona makes me very excited. So it's Marisol Ramirez. I looked through her credits. She's a lot of TV show stuff. She was in the movie Circle. It's on Netflix. It's the one where all those people are in a room in a circle and there's 50 of them and they're dying like every minute and they have to figure out who wants to survive.
Oh my.
But she's only like one of the 50. She's not like a main character. What I thought was super interesting is she is a video game voice actor.
That is cool.
What makes me happy about that is because whenever you're a horror movie villain, as far as facial expressions go and like how you're like visually looking in terms of acting isn't, I don't think, as important as your sound. Because in this movie she's going to be heavily costumed, tons of makeup, probably just stone cold emotionless and then angry. That's it. And so if she could make like a really scary set of voice cues, that's, I think, what's going to put me over the edge.
I wonder if they're going to do the weeping. Like, will we hear her
Yes,
weeping?
you will. You do in the trailer. And it is horrifying.
Oh.
Because it's real quiet. And it sounds like, have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
No.
Have you seen The Shining?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the two little girls?
Yes.
And then whenever, not the two little girls, whenever he goes into the bathroom and there's that lady in the bathtub and she's crying, it sounds like that. But it's real quiet and longer.
Okay, so here's the other thing.
Yes.
They say if you hear the weeping, if it sounds far away from you, that means she's closer to you.
Interesting.
Then versus hearing it very loudly, that means that she's further away.
That makes me even more scared.
I know,
because it was real quiet in the trailer. Which makes sense because like a couple seconds later she was in the car with the kids. That's another thing is cars in horror movies are one of those things with me. Like I should have taken this spot. I'm not entirely sure why someone would willingly put themselves into a confined space when there's a monster after them.
Right.
So we are in the parking lot, so let's do hopes and dreams real quick. What is one hope and one dream that's going to make this movie just the best movie?
If they can really connect the character to why she became La Llorona.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
And to see an outcome of that the mother in the movie appreciates and loves her kids even more that they've gone through this situation. I
absolutely agree with you. I think for me, see, mine are always super shallow. Mine is I would like the gore to be stomachable.
Okay.
Because this movie doesn't feel like it needs a ton of gore to be scary. And so, as far as the blood and guts is concerned, let's keep it to a minimum. Right. Let's focus on the atmosphere and the character.
Right.
So that's my goal. I want to come out of this not pale.
Okay.
With at least sickness from blood and guts.
And I will be laughing the entire time.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Oh, man. Do you have any last words before we head on in?
No, I'm just excited, ready to see it.
Me too. So we will see you guys on the other side. So that was pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
So we agreed on a 3-minute no spoiler timer. That's how long we can stand to talk about this thing without just spilling it all out. So I'm gonna start the timer. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Let's start off with your out of 10, just raw, undeveloped. How good was this movie?
I would give it about 8.
An 8. Wow.
7 or 8. Yeah.
There you go.
Because like I said, I don't watch like horror movies often, jump scare movies often. So, like I would say about an 8. I'm
gonna go slightly lower and say 6.5.
Oh, okay.
It was better than I thought, but not as good as I think it could have been.
Was it better than Pet Sematary?
Oh. No.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I haven't seen that one, so
you'll love it.
Okay.
You will love it.
Okay.
All right. Fair. So, I guess who are we looking at? How they look, visuals and characters? What do you think?
I think that the mom portrayed. This is hard to do.
Yeah, no spoilers.
So she gave off the look of concern, but it was also a reserved. Like she was very reserved with her thoughts and how she would proceed with things.
Absolutely.
Because of other reasons.
Yes. Yes, she was. I think visually, La Llorona looked very good.
Yeah.
She did not look scary. She looked kind of like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings with lines.
Okay.
Was the vibe I was getting.
Okay.
And the wedding dress, obviously, that's kind of scary. And the fingers were more scary than her.
Yeah,
which looked really good.
For sure.
And then also the way that they played with lighting. Atmospherically wise, I was scared the whole time.
It did give the feeling of like super eerie, like you just did not know what was coming next.
For sure.
And I did like that about the movie. There were one place where I was sitting like this, and I was just like, okay, something's about to happen, and I'm not sure, but you knew something was coming, but you were just like, the anticipation was there the entire movie.
Absolutely.
I will say that.
I think the kids did pretty well.
Yeah.
For an acting debut. I didn't get to this earlier. The little boy, that was his debut acting.
Oh, not bad.
First movie.
Not bad.
So yeah, that's like great. I think that I think that the kids were written pretty bad though. They made a lot of stupid horror movie decisions. Like, let's go into the room by ourselves. No, let's not.
Right.
Things like that were really what took the movie down for me.
Right. Or just following things that you shouldn't follow. Like, don't do that.
Exactly. You hear crying in the streets at night, don't do it.
Yeah.
I liked the priest. He was cool. He was much less involved than I expected him to be.
Right.
And then the shaman was really cool.
Yeah. I enjoyed the shaman. I enjoyed the things that he would say to kind of lighten the mood. Yeah.
Yeah, you could. There we go. We can do it.
Woo.
We made it. 3 minutes.
Yes.
That was easy.
So the things that they shouldn't follow. Why the heck would you follow an umbrella that keeps blowing out of your hand?
Oh, that was too much.
That made me so upset.
And she saw her too.
Yes.
She looked through the umbrella and saw the lady.
Oh, hey. And then no.
And the little boy following the crying.
Yes.
Even though it sounded like his sister, that was after they had established she lures you in with crying.
Right.
He should have known better.
Yeah. Because you followed the crying before and something happened.
Also, the little girl not recognizing that wasn't her mom bathing her.
Yes.
Was ridiculous.
Yes.
That was insane. Now, I think that scene coupled with the end scene touched on what you wanted for this movie. And in the end of the movie, because the whole time La Llorona's pale with the black lines and like blue everything and like horrifying, it shows her human form, and she's like loving on the kids essentially, and then she sees herself in the mirror and she sees what she really is and goes. But that scene coupled with her actually washing the little girl's hair and not drowning her until the little girl drowned herself. Yeah, like an idiot.
Yes. That was a mother loving her children and thinking about her children and what she has lost and wanting to have that moment again.
Absolutely. And I thought that was pretty well thought out. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I liked her, or I liked the mom, the real mom. Yes. Her sense of urgency in the later half of the movie was very, very, very well done. Right. She was, actress-wise, was brilliant. Yeah.
At the point she realized that this was something that she just could not play with. Yeah. It was, what do I need to do? How do I need it good? Get it done, and let's get it done now. It was let's get on it. It was, don't tell me about it. Let's do this.
Absolutely.
What time are you going to be at the house?
Exactly. She got the so that was a scene where it really set the tone for the rest of the movies. Whenever they're in the church, right, and she's explaining to the priest what's going on, and he says, "Oh, you need." It's going to take us several weeks before we're able to actually help you legally. You need this guy. And it's kind of he's scrappy is the vibe I get from him. He's collected all these weird relics and he's kind of demonologist sort of dude. So that really set the tone for this is not going to be an easy fight. I have a feeling if the church was involved, that would have been a little more step by step. And it wasn't at all.
How long has this been happening? What time of night, all that other stuff.
Absolutely.
I do like the fact there was the one comment in the movie where she said, but you left the church or you went away from the church, whatever. And he was like, yes, I left the church, but not God. And I thought that was very powerful. Because, you know, a lot of people can get tangled up in like church stuff and the people and what the environment of the church is, and they lose God in the process.
Absolutely.
But for him to say that, I thought that was pretty powerful.
I did too. I really liked his contribution in the movie as far as comedic effect goes. He was the only person cracking jokes the whole time.
Yes.
And what I like about it is that's tough to do in a movie only having comedy in the last half. Because what they'll try to do is to make their whole movie lighthearted. They'll put one character making jokes in the beginning, and then they'll just have them suddenly become unfunny for this other guy to be funny. And they didn't do that with this movie. There was no compromise.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
I enjoyed that. Even the whole part of him being afraid. And he kept a straight face every time he it was a joke. It was a straight face, and you're just like, okay, I got it.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more sinister whenever he backed up. So there's a scene where the kids are in the living room, or they're in the dining room under the table, and La Llorona is like trying to get to them. The mom has been knocked unconscious, and the shaman who's supposed to be helping them just steps back and lets it happen.
Yes.
And then he ends up grabbing the boy and like slinging what do you call it, anti-venom or tears and stuff at her. And so he did all this, and she said, did you use my son as bait? He goes, no, I used all of you as bait. And I was immediately thinking, oh, he's about to like pull a mask off or something, and then he ended up still being good, so that was nice. Happy surprises all around there.
I enjoyed it.
I did too.
I was surprised because I don't say I would never show this in school, but I will suggest it to my students, especially the ones that kind of like horror movies or whatever. I would suggest it to them to go see it. I do love at the beginning of the movie to have a little backstory, even though it wasn't a lot. And then you came in and the priest was able to tell the full backstory, and it kind of went along with the legend that I talked about at the beginning. So I was just like,
that is nice.
That was cool.
Nice. Speaking of the priest, I guess the second most important, but the biggest plot twist in the movie, this is in the same universe as The Conjuring.
For sure.
I don't know if I should have known this. I feel like the priest was in a Conjuring movie, but I can't remember. Because if he was, then I should have known. But if he wasn't, that was crazy. Because you see the Annabelle doll.
When he's talking, he goes, so she's trying to explain to him all this stuff, and he goes, well, there's this one time with a doll, and we see a flashback of Annabelle. That's crazy.
That was wild.
Yeah.
And I guess the next big plot twist in the movie, just to give away the most exciting moment, the very end of the movie, the mom and the shaman are waiting downstairs, and he has put this line on the door that La Llorona can't cross.
Right. And it's from the tree that looks like burning flames, because it was the only tree that was witness to
El Árbol de Fuego or something
El Árbol de Fuego. It was the only tree to witness the drowning of her children. And so those were the seeds that were at the door. Yeah, and he like made the line, and you see a foot just go over the line and step. Yeah. And you're thinking the whole time, oh, it just didn't work. It's La Llorona, or maybe the little girl's knee hit one of the seeds or something. Yeah, because the crazy thing is when when he first puts the line, he opens the door after saving the little boy, using him as bait. You see La Llorona at the door, and she can't come in. But we're already fed the idea of she's this powerful, evil being, source that can surpass anything. And so you think she made it through. It turns out this was the woman who was accused of murdering her own children. Yes. Her last name was Alvarez, and in the beginning of the movie, she's accused of killing her kids because La Llorona got to them. Right. And she had tried to protect them by locking them in a closet, and the authorities interpreted it the wrong way. And so now that mom had prayed to La Llorona, I want you to go take that woman's kids instead of mine, bring mine back. And La Llorona was like, okay. And that's why this is happening. And so the crazy thing about that, and I think it goes back to the beginning of the movie where I said the mother's love. So we're at the point of the movie where La Llorona has access to the children. Yes, they're trapped in the attic. They're trapped in the attic, and the only thing that is really saving the kids at this point was the necklace that the mom got from La Llorona. Bought them time. And it bought them a little bit of time because the mom was already locked in a closet somewhere, and so Alvarez is in the house and she hears the mom crying. And she's just like, I guess she had that moment of, even though I've lost my kids, losing your kids isn't going to help the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to keep going. So she opens the door for her to save her kids. And I thought that was amazing.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And that touched I think that finished encapsulating the theme of motherly love. Like,
yes.
that brought it all back together. Because there was the La Llorona becoming somewhat human again in that one scene, and then there was the human who had become a monster returning back to being sane. And that whole sequence was brilliant.
It was.
I loved every second of that.
Yes.
I can't say I loved much more of it. I was scared the whole time.
It really wasn't that bad.
It really wasn't. So yeah, visually it wasn't too scary. I mean, there wasn't a ton going on in that regard, but I mean, I had a wonderful time.
Yeah, I did too. There was the one time that I jumped, and yeah, it got me.
So I guess real quick before we end it off, scariest part of the movie for you?
For me, it was at the point where the young boy was in a trance. And he's walking towards the door. He's trying to open the door. And at this point, La Llorona has like attached herself to him. And so whenever they hear the weeping, they follow her voice. And so he's trying to get out of the house because they need to get to a source of water. And so he's trying to get out of the house. You see him pulling on the door. So the mom is like, what are you doing? Like, stop pulling on the door. And so she goes and get him. She's like, oh, you were just sleepwalking. And the door is still like open and closing by itself. And then it pops open. I jumped. I was just like, wait, what? wait a minute.
Oh, yes.
So that was the one part that got me.
I think, so the lead up to that was what made that so scary for me.
Right.
Because you hear the door open, close, open, close, open, close. And the mom doesn't know where it is, so she's just like walking through the house trying to find it. And it's the longest, quietest, it's like 2 minutes long.
Oh, yeah.
Of dead silence. And I was so on edge the whole time. I think the scariest part for me was seeing her at the bathtub with the little girl, because that was drawn out enough, and the I guess safety of the mom was so far away that the fear factor was really real. And then right after the mom got back up there to the bathtub to save her little girl from getting drowned, that's whenever she got attacked.
Yes.
And that's what prompted her to be like, okay, we've all three seen it at the same time. We need to go to the priest.
Right.
And so the fact that the scariest moment in the movie also set it into the climax was really cool. But yeah, I can't think of much else to talk about with this movie without like passing out, honestly.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I had a great time. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
That was very fun.
I enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
I had a great time.
For sure. And we will see you all next time.
Adios.
Adios.